fun here. Big 550 KTRS. Karen Travers, ABC News White House correspondent. Good morning, Karen Travers.
Good morning. So we're not doing a Super Bowl recap, I guess.
No, trying not to. At least what's on the field, because we think Tom Brady is the devil. But that's beside the point.
I was rooting for Atlanta too, so I'm tired and bummed this morning.
All right, Karen Travers, you are doing double duty, going to your Super Bowl parties and following what's going on at the White House. Fill us in. It seems like Donald Trump not happy with the judge. Does he understand what the judge can and can't do?
Right. Well, he called him a so-called judge. He said the decision on Friday night by that Seattle judge was ridiculous, and blaming the judge over the weekend for putting the nation, as he said, in peril. That if something bad happens, blame him and the court system. Just a really remarkable public attack on a federal judge that has drawn a lot of criticism, not just from Democrats and activists, but from members of the president's own party who say you don't say that. There's a separation of power and three different branches of government. Yeah,
it hasn't just been Democrats, as you say, it's been Republicans, and even Mitch McConnell has thrown a little shade towards the president.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell upset about the president's comments in that interview with Fox that aired before the Super Bowl, where the president was talking about Vladimir Putin. He says he respects him, and Bill O'Reilly says, but he's a killer. Putin's a killer. And President Trump said a lot of killers, and you think our country is so innocent. Republicans pounced on this. Mitch McConnell called Putin a thug. He said that there is no equivalency between the way Russia behaves and the way the U.S. does. And Marco Rubio also tweeting, we are not the same as Putin. So a lot of backlash.
Yeah, so where do we go from here? What is the White House going to do with this ruling? Or is it just sort of wait it through the courts? Is it Trump tweeting overnight? Anything? What's the latest in the last 24 hours?
So here's where things stand. Overnight, lawyers in Washington State and Minnesota filed their briefs with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco. That's where this case now sits. They say that reinstating the ban would, quote, unleash chaos again. And they say that this nationwide stop on it is appropriate. The Department of Justice can respond with its own brief. They have until 6 p.m. Eastern time today. And then we'll see potentially quick action from the Ninth Circuit Court, which has already turned down a request from DOJ to put aside that temporary restraining order and put the ban back in place. So perhaps today, if not tomorrow, then the inevitable is that we could see the government file with the Supreme Court to take the case up there. Not a guarantee the Supreme Court takes it, but that could be the next step.
Karen Travers, this is moving awful fast, and it sounds like it's just going to speed up in the next 24 to 48 hours. So it's a 90-day ban because so I guess they can't wait 3 years to rule on this, right? It's got to move fast.
Certainly, they're saying this has to move quickly. And it also has ramifications for what the president might potentially do on illegal immigration here, too. You know, this is not just looking at this particular executive order, but the whole idea of presidential authority when it comes to who can come into this country and who is not allowed to come into this country. There was some confusion still over the weekend, but the Department of Homeland Security was no longer telling airlines to stop visa holders that were from those 7 countries, essentially suspending anything related to the ban and letting everybody come in.
Yeah, so just so we understand, Karen Travers, where we are in this, the judge ruled and put a stay on the ban, which means everything reverts back to the rules we're using before Donald Trump was ever sworn in.
Right. There's a temporary restraining order that was put on that ban. Now, it's also worth pointing out that there hasn't been a decision from a court yet about the merits of this. We're not talking about whether or not the president stepped into authority, but it's the temporary restraining order just stops it for right now while the courts are deciding.
Karen Travers.
A lot of legal jargon over the weekend.
Right. No, and it is very confusing, and that's why you're great to sort of explain it all. Any tweets or anything from the White House about some of the immigration spots during the Super Bowl or Lady Gaga's non-political political halftime show?
No, actually, we haven't seen anything like that. The president was tweeting just a few moments ago talking about being essentially the decider and looking at some of the reporting that perhaps was saying others in the West Wing have substantial input and authority and are running the show. There was, of course, a Time magazine cover with Steve Bannon, the senior advisor to the president there. The president today in a tweet says, "I call my own shots and everyone knows it."
Any comment from Sean Spicer on Melissa McCarthy's rendition of him in Saturday Night Live?
Yes, he said this morning in an interview it was cute, it was funny. He'd rather be talking about issues, though, but he says it's part of American culture.
All
so
right. Karen,
doesn't seem too upset about it.
Karen Travers, ABC News White House correspondent. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
All right. If you missed it, let's play the one clip. Oh, Woody's not there. All right. It's 6:27 here. Big 550.